talk a little bit about your civil rights pursuits. I see here that you played a role in the Mary Hill release, which was a case
Marie
Hill that she was accused of murdering a white man and was not given a fair trial, and she was kind of seamlessly forced into signing a confession, and you played a part in helping her get released, and also this case helped rearrange the death penalty in North Carolina. Tell me a little bit about the case and your involvement in it.
Well, I'm probably more involved in it than I acknowledge. Golden Freaks, which was a part of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was a non-support staff person of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. In other words, he was on the staff but didn't give him no money. He was just there. He just had the name. I don't know what his relationship was with Dr. King. I really don't know. But Abernathy was never really accepted by Southern Christian Leadership Conference because he wasn't Dr. King. He wasn't supposed to be. But it was Abernathy and another woman, which you know about, that came out of Birmingham. No, it wasn't Birmingham. They came out of, what's the name of that place? We got a church down there. Where did the movement really start with Dr. King?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King, Daddy was a pastor in Atlanta, Georgia, but history tried to make his son the pastor, but his son really was the pastor of that church. His daddy was. And Dad was not really a great civil rights leader, but because his son was.
To help his name stay relevant. And then you also played a role in the Wilmington 10 case where they were charged with conspiracy and arson. And in my doing research on the Wilmington 10, one of the oldest people that were charged with the most amount of time, I believe, of 34 years, was a friend of yours, Ben Chavis, Dr. Ben Chavis, who I actually met, and who I met at your pastoral anniversary, and he accredits you for getting him started in civil rights.
Well, I'm glad he told you that.
Yeah.
Because he never would tell me that.
No.
We want to be the creator of ourselves, but we are not. Mm-hmm. None of us are creators of ourselves. The most a man by the name of David Mann had a white man that was super racist, but he was a good-looking white man. Uh-huh. With double-breast suits and all that kind of stuff. Gave him a suit. And Dave Mann ended up giving me that suit, a white suit, linen suit, and I wore it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
we are not the makers of ourselves, then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Ben Chavis went on to be the executive director of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And as I mentioned to you,
a little while.
For a little while. I think it was like 2 or 3 years.
I don't think he was there that long.
But I ended up seeing his picture in the African American History Museum in D.C., and I felt like that was interesting because I know you organized civil rights movements with him. Now, also you participated and led a lot of the PCB protests here in Warren County, North Carolina, where they were contaminating soil in predominantly black communities.
In Afton, a place called Afton Communities near Warrington.
And you and 500 other protesters were arrested. Tell me a little bit about that day that you got arrested.
Well, the day I got arrested, first of all, just reflecting, we marched down to what we call the PCB dump ground. Mm-hmm. And right before going into the location right on the end of the road is where I stopped and was arrested and put in jail. And I stayed in jail for 25 days without eating, not drinking. I drink coffee.
But you fasted.
Yeah, they put any food in, no bread.
So you fasted because they didn't feed you, or you personally made a choice not to eat?
That was a spiritual commitment that I made.
Why'd you decide to make that commitment to fast?
Well, because some great civil rights leaders had done it before, I reckon.
Like Gandhi?
See, name it. See, we never have an idea in our head that we act on that came in our head that somebody else didn't set the trail before we did.
So,
but what the importance of that is that you did it in your time, in your place.
So you studied some of Gandhi's tactics in terms of...
Not really. I just heard about them. I do not remember, and I'm sure I have read any of his books.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I have, but I can't remember. See, I'm 86, so I can't remember everything.
Yeah.
But I remember more than I should.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing pretty well today for this interview. Now,
But you are doing extremely well. I don't think I have had a thorough interview with anybody as I have with you. So you're smarter than you think. You really need to go down that road.
Yeah, and we're actually almost done. Did you have, and I appreciate that.
Well, that's the truth. Well, I'm glad you see the truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Because one of the tragic mistakes that I have made, as daring as I have tried to be, if I had acted on my real conviction, I may have jumped off the mountain and that been the end of it, you know. Because we can do more than we ever dreamed that we can do with God's help. And that's all I want to say about that now. And, you know, if you do this interview and you reflect on it and you might decide to do a little pamphlet or a book on it, this you may be the one that do that book that I should have done. Because your interview has been very, very thorough. I don't know where I've had an interview that has been as thorough as you have been. And it's amazing that you got a talent that most of our talent, most of our creativity does not come out of training.
It's natural.
Where do you get that word from? It is very natural.
During your time of civil rights, did you ever have a run-in with the Klan?
Well, I lived in Klan territory.
Oh, you lived in their territory.
Yeah, Highway 5098. That's really the Hurricanes. That goes all the way back down to Youngsville, where number one highway is, and cut back through 96 and go to Oxford. But Klansmen do not turn on people they know. They victimize people that they don't know. And what you believe that? Now, as radical as I was in the time that I lived, I lived in Klan territory, but no Klansman would come after me because they knew me. Regardless of what the press said, all that kind of stuff, I doubt even read it. Which may have been a good thing, or they may not listen to the radio either. But they knew me, so they are closer to real truth than controlled truth. And what I'm talking about, controlled truth, I'm talking about the radio, TV, and the press, printed press. That's controlled, because wherever you see print, the person who write it and put it into print, half of the things that he wrote never did get into print because the editor
Edited out.
edited it out because it did not serve the ultimate goal of the editor or the control people that he had.
All right, now I have just a couple quick general questions that I guess always just wanted.
Quick questions. I hope ain't long answers.
No, that I've always wanted to ask you. So in your history and in your time, you've held many different leadership positions. What qualities do you think make for a good leader?
The ability to listen, to feel, and to know where people are. So the song say, "Let Jesus lead me," but you have to. If you won't let Jesus lead you, you don't have to let Jesus lead you not by what you read in the Bible, but in the community of faith in which you live. Many preachers have messed up because they had all the answers and didn't have ears to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Your best educator is your members of your church. You say, let Jesus lead you, but Jesus leads you through the members of your church, to the participant, the fellowship.
Mm-hmm. So you say a good quality of a leader is being able to listen to other people's problems?
Be able to become a part of other people. The statement of faith said that he came to us and shared our common life. See, you have to share in people feelings, ideas. See, I remember when there were only 2 or 3, quote, decent houses in Oak Level Church. I've been to people's houses that you look through the floor and see the chickens up on the... They didn't do it down east because I think snakes may well invaded your house.
Yeah.
Not too many cracks.
Yeah.
In
So, fortunately, in your lifetime, you had to deal with the death of 2 wives. My grandmother, Cleo, and your second wife, Miss Cecilia. So with me even having my own loss with my mother dying, how were you able, or how do you deal with loss as a man?
Well, I can tell you about some event. After your mother passed, Cleo passed, I was two times I was too active when I should have sit down. And that's when my father died, and when Cleo died. I should have been sit down and not trying to be in charge. And I reflected on that because in every situation you're not supposed to be in charge. You have to humble yourself.
So you say it's always good while grieving to take a break.
While grieving is truly grieve, and don't be the master of your fate because you're not. Because if you grieve it never would have happened because you would have stopped it from happening. So it was beyond your control. Because we have to always manipulate every moment that we live to become.
Now, I always seen you as the leader or the spokesperson of our family. And with that, at some point, your son, my father, brought a woman from a whole nother country, a whole nother culture into your lifestyle. As a leader of my family, how did you first take to my mother?
Well, easily, and you see, nothing just happened. Now, what I mean, I remember when later came. See, later, Clay thought he chose later, but he didn't. He thought he made the first step, but it was later that made the ultimate decision, and it wasn't really about him. it was about his family.
Uh-huh.
See, she said she called me and we talked about it. But she saw that he was from a good family. I don't know whether it was like her family, maybe it was like the family she had dreamed of. More than dreaming about him, she saw the love and unity that was in Cleo and I and the children and who else that was involved. Because no family is perfect. Both of Cleo brothers at one time were heavy drinkers. Joe never overcame because he ended up getting caught on fire in his house. Mm-hmm. But Jesse lived to overcome it. Mm-hmm. And he became, when he was deacon, he was still drinking. Drinking don't necessarily make you non-religious. You just got a habit that you got to learn to break.
Yeah, I remember Uncle
just
Jesse.
Like eating too much.
Yeah. I remember as a child, Uncle Jesse, I do remember him smoking. I never saw him drink, but I remember him smoking out of a pipe. Because he's the one who taught me how to tie my shoes.
Yeah. Well, okay. And I'll say this about your mother. Your mother was a very spiritual person. That's why she wasn't too happy within the church. Because she's very spiritual. She could see the weakness. She will accept the teaching, but she would not accept all of the teaching.
Yeah, I remember her very vividly that she would tell me that your relationship with God should be personal and that God resided in your heart. So you didn't necessarily always have to go to church on Sunday to be close with God.
Where you read she got that from?
I'm not sure. My grandmother also was a very spiritual person, her mother.
What's her name?
Grandma Pearlina Rook.
Yeah, Rook she was so personal that she and Lita couldn't make it.
Yeah, they did have
my mama would sit up at the midnight hour, bringing reconciliation between those two women. Mm-hmm. You know, it's nice when you can have a child that's not out on the road drinking and cursing and all that, but yet they don't totally, completely accept your understanding of being. Because it's a new day and a new hour, a new moment for us all. I probably was a problem, but Mama was a very caring, loving person. Uh-huh. She was able to reconcile me to the world, I reckon. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's. So, what is the hardest thing you had to overcome as a man?
Well, there's a book called Courage to Be. Uh-huh. Now, I'm not answering your question directly, but there is always an element of fear in life. Uh-huh. The courage to be is don't let your fear and anxiety ultimately control the direction in which you move and do. Uh-huh. Because you can always do more than you think you can do. Uh-huh. And you look back and wonder, somebody got a song that say, I look back and wonder how I got over. Well, that's very elemental. Mm-hmm. Element essence of life. Looking back and discover that you did more than you thought that you could do in the moment that you took the journey. You never know how strong you are unless you get out there and wrestle with the devil. Mm-hmm. You don't know how weak you are unless you find that beautiful woman that treats you wrong and yet you're going to cut her food and still love her anyhow. I don't think I may have been that way. Yeah, I may have been that way, but it wasn't demonic. Uh-huh. It's because ultimately the one that I thought did me in, the time came when I had the opportunity to do them in, and I don't know what I did or not. But I wasn't as much in love with her as I thought I was. Your grandmother was the sweetest woman I ever met, though. All said and done, any way you put it.
So you would say your hardest thing overcoming was not doing wrong by people who did you wrong?
No, I never had a desire to get even. That's not my nature. It's always my nature to try to get along. I will try my best to make my enemy my friend, male or female. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great characteristic to have. So what do you think most has changed or stayed the same about society to you at 86?
White folk are white folk, black folk are black folk. I don't think they ever change. You know, the predominant worship moment in living is black folk with black folk. It's not black folk with white folk. We have integrated churches, but they are not the one that determines the essence of the black community. The black church is the control of the black community.
So you think that white people being white people and black people being black people stayed the same, but what do you think changed?
What white folk don't know, how much they have changed for the good because of black folk. The white folk think they're still white, but white folk are more black than they think they are. Black folk brings about a transformation of society. And not only black, but the suffering people of the world, and I think Gandhi would say the same thing. Those who suffer and those who hurt are the one that brings about, and those who are oppressed are the one that bring about the transformation in society. You become the salt of the earth, as Jesus said, and the light of the world. And he said, don't let your light, he said, let your light so shine. But that don't mean that you're singing and shouting. You know, whatever situation that you are, don't give up.
Yeah, I definitely think, and I know some other people that think that here in America, black people are the one that hold America together morally.
Well, they have. And I said, you know, Malcolm X was just about right, but he got converted. His leader said white people were the devil, right? Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
But he went over in Europe and he went to Mecca and he discovered all colors were going there, and that was a great transformation for him. You see, we don't hold all truth at all times. There's a growing reality of, and that's the essence of the joy. I say the joy of growing older because we do mature. Some people, certain things mature earlier, but we do mature. And the essence of the shortness of our lives, the essence of our lives, how short as they may be, are still taken over by society or by someone else. So you still, Dr. King impact on America probably was through his death more than the short time that he lived. If he had not lived, folk most likely would have forgotten all about him. But his death forced people, his love, his people, and the enemies, caused all of them to look back over his life. Yeah.
What do you think about the current state of black people now in 2018?
I think we're doing okay. We if you look in terms of history, we've had less than 50 years to really be ourselves and not be ourselves. You know, when segregation, enforced segregation disappeared, and enforced segregation was a good thing. All things, and I say that with this quick, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. The mystic that white folk made, well, they didn't knock down the barriers of segregation as early as they should have, because the barriers of segregation caused us to turn towards ourselves and towards our leaders, which made great leaders. Otherwise, we may have been running around looking at the white folk, Billy Graham and the rest of them.
Yeah. What do you think makes a man?
His peanuts. A man worships his peanuts more than he does anything else.
Yeah.
Now he thinks that the essence of salvation is that he make great things happen. I say he think he can't. He make babies. But being a man is being the follower of Jesus. You follow Jesus. See, Jesus never got married, but I'm not sure that Jesus never did have any sex. Do you?
I'm pretty sure he had sex.
If he didn't, he messed up. Well, sex is more than sex. Sex is intimate relationship. And say, what is love? Love is, and this is one of Paul Tillich's definition of love. Love is the
reincarnation.
Well, yeah, same thing. But it is the unity of the separated, the unified element of that which is separated. And that's the way I think he defined love like that. Mm-hmm. It's more than a feeling. Love is perfect unity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of unity, so you're saying that love, because I was going to ask you to define unity, because I know that's a big part of your life.
Unity is love.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess if I was to ask you to define love, you would say it's unity.
It's unity. It's more than a feeling. Mm-hmm. It's more than a feeling. See, when you are in love, when you are passionate in love, and when you first put it in and it goes off and it's gone, mm-hmm. You wonder where it's love.
Yeah.
I'm being funny.
Yeah.
But real love comes when all the emotions and feelings and stuff like that is gone. But unity is they have a common goal, common purpose, and that's where a child becomes so important, because it causes a real parent, but a real mother to sacrifice. See, not too much that a real mother would not do for her child.
Because of love.
Well, yeah, that's what I say. It's there. See, it's somebody preached a sermon I had. It's tight like that. Uh-huh. It's tight like that. Tight. That's love. It tights like that. But it's tight. But nothing is tight unless you put energy and force in it at all times. Uh-huh. Sometimes you have to fall out of love to fall in love.
Yeah, that's true. And since I couldn't pretty much remember your life motto has always been keep the faith. Where's that came from?
Well, I could say I made it myself, but the first person I ever heard say it, and you the first person that asked me, where you get that from? First person I ever heard. All of those words was Alan Clayton Powell. That was his motto, keep the faith. And God knows he's the first communist person, and they gave him hell right and left. And ultimately, he nearly died in disgrace, but he never. But he's the pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church. Mm-hmm. We finally got the name of the church, Abyssinian. And what was so funny about that, Vivian, I don't want to call Vivian. Velma's sister, his name was.
Velma, your daughter?
My daughter, my niece's name,
You talking about
Velma's daughter,
Cleo or Josie?
Josie.
Mm-hmm.
Velma has two.
Yeah, you talking about my cousins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has two daughters. And Clay has two sons.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, me and Landon and Cleo and Josie.
Mm-hmm. First cousin.
Yes.
Now, what I was saying about that? But she said she was standing in line going into Abyssinia Baptist Church with all of the tourists that were out there. But they were predominantly white. They were, when it was the day was all over and they go back home, they would say, look, I went to that worldwide Baptist church called, what is the name, Abyssinia?
Mm-hmm.
But one
Where
of
is it, in Germany?
No, in Holland, on the edge of Holland.
Oh, I have to look it up. I'm about to go to Europe. I should probably stop there.
No, that's in New York.
Oh, it's in New York? Oh.
Abyssinia Baptist Church. Adam Clayton Powell was pastor there for years.
Didn't Martin Luther King do a famous speech there or something?
Yeah, he did, but he did another famous speech over there too.
I think I've been in that church.
To that other church over there on the hill. Now I can't call the name of that church. But that was an international church. UCC church too.
Alright, the last thing that I want you to elaborate on was a question I asked you about 3 months ago, where I asked you what were your 3 truths that you live by. I'll go through each one by one. The first one was live by faith, because it is the basis of hope. It's the living belief. What do you mean by that?
Well, the only thing I do is come into the essence of life. Now body, hope. What is that word? Now body, hope, faith, love. But the greatest of 3 is love, because the reason why it's the greatest because it's the unified forces of life. And God is in the mix. See, a lot of folks see God up there, but God is closer to us than we are to ourselves, because God is in us, the manifestation of being. And the psalmist said, new creation, that we are created a little lower than angels, but the new translation said a little lower than God. In other words, he said human a little, just a teeny weeny bit lower than God. We are so much like God that we become demonic, because we don't have the essence of the unity of life. We see ourselves as the most important thing in the world.
And I guess you would say we would become destructive?
We are destructive. Hitler, just to become Hitler, Hitler is the truly demonic forces of human being.
Your second.
You know, a lot of Americans were on Hitler's side when he first invaded Ethiopia and all those places.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's people in America that align themselves with his views
Still
at the
do.
time. Yeah, and still do. All right, your second truth was
Now, what was the first truth?
to live by faith is a basis of hope. It's a living belief. Now, your second one was to live with the grace of Jesus. It's not about who he was, but the life he lived. He lived in the grace of love and to see hope in people. He lived a life bounded in the consciousness of his creator and love. They are the glue to life. And then you ended that truth with a quote, "My time are in thy hands."
You know what? I'm smarter than I thought I was. These are great words, and I didn't know that I could speak with such eloquence.
Yeah. Well, I did paraphrase some.
Right, we always do.
Yeah.
We always do.
So what did you mean by to live in the grace of Jesus? Or I guess his lifestyle, adopting his lifestyle.
Well, Jesus said, and I'm just give personal reflection at this time. Jesus said, "Follow me, and I will make you." See, you just can't get converted. You got to follow Jesus every day of your life. And then Paul said, "By the grace of God, I am what I am." He doesn't give himself credit for being what he is. It's God's grace. And then he turned around and said, "I was chief among sinners." But all said and done, Paul was still Paul.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to do this interview you've done. You walked through there. Maybe that should be your...
Yeah, I did some reading.
Hmm?
I did some reading and listening. What did you also mean by my times are in thy hands?
My time is in God. Well, it is. First of all, I never thought I'd live to get 86 years old. Tell you the truth about it, I never thought I'd live to get 66. So we cannot project what we're going to be. You see all those trees and things out there? The only reason why those trees are not up against this house here is because throughout the years I cultivated that field. But those trees I've sold $33,000 worth of timber 30 years ago out there. So 30 years ago, $30,000 is probably worth now, a revaluation, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000.
Probably more.
Probably more. But those trees are still out there. I never expected when I cut that timber, see all those trees come back. But our lives are not in our hands. We don't know how, by the grace of God, I may get to be 105. Not that I look forward to it. But when I said I can see the potentiality, it's not how long you live, but how healthy you live.
The quality of life.
Quality of life, yes. Who wants to be laying in bed looking up in the sky?
Simplicity, I guess you would say.
You're smarter than you think you are. You need to go back to school, teach the professors. That's a wonderful student. Teach it. Professors don't teach one another. The students are the one that teach the professor. Every day you walk in there, that professor, if he got a listening ear, he's smarter than he was before he did that lecture. By the question that were asked, because the students define his belief and faith and question what he said. And sometimes the question that they answer helps him to realize, I'm not as smart as I thought I was.
All right, and your third truth was?
Now, what is my first one? What is my second one?
Your first one was live by the faith. Live by faith is the basis of hope, is a living belief. Your second was to live with the grace of Jesus is not about who he was, but the life he lived. He lived in grace. He lived in the grace of love and to see hope in all people. He lived a life bounded in his consciousness of his creator and love. They are the glue to life. And then you said, my time is in thy hands.
You usually put that stuff in a book.
I might.
Hey, I'm smarter than I thought I was. Go ahead.
Your third one was, don't let money excite you because it comes and goes. Live in the moment, not by sun up and sun down. What do you mean?
Live in the moment. The moment. A certain man went down. Now I'm using this scripture because it comes to me. A certain man went down from Jerusalem. Went down from Jericho on his way to Jerusalem, vice versa. We got to read it. But he fell among thieves, and they beat him up. They took what he had. And two religious people, they didn't even have time to look and see what had happened, whether because of danger, fear. They just went on about their business. Maybe they had a schedule they had to make. But there was a certain person, and they defined him as a Samaritan. And the reason why the Bible defined him as a Samaritan because Samaritan was not really part of the Jewish faith, not in terms of temples that they worship in, but they probably were in the essence of the Spirit because, that's right, because it was the Samaritan that actually was a living faith of true Jewish religion. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That was a living faith there. But they didn't practice it. But the Samaritan practiced that, even though they looked and frowned upon them because they may have parents of another. Somebody out there?
Yeah, that guy's bringing back that lawnmower. Yeah, he's bringing back your lawnmower.
Don't let him leave without.
Yeah.
Have we finished?
I have one more question.
Okay.
So what's some advice that you would give to future generations?
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Because there's always going to be struggle. I don't care how much education you get. I don't know how I don't care how. If you married the prettiest girl in church, you got to remember that beauty is not going to last. It's got to be deeper than that. And that was your mother. Your mother was truly, if she was Catholic, she would have been the same. Except she married me.
Well, yeah, that was it. Well, I appreciate you.
Look, the best interview I ever had. Now don't let that go to your head. Well, somebody said that one time. I don't know why they